I just want to confirm that this is being recorded. One of the first thing we have in our discussion, I know that Alyssa will be coming on, is to vote how to sign member signatures. Dave, were you able to find out anything?
Yeah, so it can be done a couple ways. There's a method to get everybody approved with electronic signatures, or the commission can vote to have the agent sign their signature if they want to do that. So I would recommend voting that we allow both options. But for this particular meeting, since it might take some time to get those things established, I'm probably just going to go around and make arrangements to meet the members and get documents signed that way for this particular meeting. And then by the next meeting, we should have everything set up for electronic signatures.
Okay, thank you. We have some old minutes. We have an April 7th, 2004. Ken, you were there, and you were the only one there that's still with us, other than Mr. Bichette.
Motion to
I have
approve
a
it.
motion to accept minutes of April
Yes.
7th,
Yes.
and I need a second.
Second.
Okay, I need to go around through roll call. Rob,
Hey, Jess, what do you need?
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
is Alyssa back?
I'm
Gone.
here. I just don't have a picture up.
She don't have a video yet. She got audio.
But she's here, so she
And
can vote.
yes,
Yes.
so that's been accepted 500. We now have also minutes from May 19th, 2004.
Was I there?
You came at 7:20.
Well, motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second. You
I
had
have a
to.
second. All right, Rob,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. So 500, and that does the housekeeping. Now, Alyssa, you have the hearings.
I do,
Would
Sandy.
you like to start with the first one?
Surely. Elisa. Notice of public hearings pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetlands Protected Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Tina Deangelis, care of Lockwood Architects, P.O. Box 95, Onset, Mass. 02558, for the construction of a freestanding garage located on Assessor's Map 28, lots 47 and 48, 21, 23 Bayberry Road, Wareham, Massachusetts.
I don't think you have those in the order of the agenda, Elisa.
I thought,
The first one you need to read, Michael and Susan.
The first one should be the Lenahan hearing.
Lenahan hearing. Susan is, what number is Susan? I even wrote down the name.
That's the first hearing. It's 32 Agawam Drive.
Sorry.
Michael Lenahan.
Yep, I got it now. Want me to do it again?
Yes.
All right, and then if you can just give me the names of the order, because they came in wrong. A notice of public hearing.
We'll do that.
Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protective Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. The public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 6:30 PM on the request for determination of applicability for Michael and Susan Linehan, 240 South Street, Foxborough, Mass. 02015, to construct an addition located on Assessor's Map 129B3, Lot 19A and B, 32 Agawam Drive, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Mr. Bichette, is there anybody here for this hearing?
I am present, yep. Mike Linehan.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Dave will read to the project and then we'll ask your comments.
Okay, and I do have the green cards for the hearing as I have for all of the hearings. I already have all the green cards for all of them. This project again is at 32 Agawam Drive, and this project involves the construction of an addition within the buffer zone to Agawam Mill Pond. A 6 by 11 foot bathroom addition is proposed, and this is approximately 45 feet from the edge of the pond. The site is existing yard area and is relatively flat. There's no grade changes proposed as part of the project, and erosion control barrier will be installed between the work and the resource area. So I would recommend approval of the project with a negative determination number 3.
Thank you. Mike, is there anything you'd like to add?
No,
You speaking to Mike Linehan?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. I
Yes,
see
Mike.
Garcia there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is my first time using this technology, so I got confused earlier. If
Okay.
you could tell,
Not a
so.
problem.
I'm
No,
sorry,
it's-
Mr. Linehan, go
it's
ahead.
Not a problem. No, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward little addition off the side of the house for a bathroom. And when Dave tells me what the controls are, we'll set them up. And I assume, Dave, do I have to wait 30 days on this, or what is that? How does that work?
No, if the commission approves it, then you don't have to wait 30 days. You just have to get the building permit in hand and then you can proceed from there.
Okay, well, I'm.
All right, I'm going to ask the members. Rob, any questions?
no,
David, any questions?
No.
Kenny, any questions?
Nope.
Elissa,
No,
I'll never get your name right. Is, you have a cesspool or Title V?
Yeah, there's a septic tank. Not a cesspool, no, it's a septic tank. It's out in the front yard, yeah. It's on the drawing.
Okay. And a Board of Health? Do they have to approve the additional bathroom?
Not that I know of. It would be a bedroom that would kick
Okay.
something in.
Thank you. Is there,
Close.
second.
second,
I heard a motion to close. I heard a second. Rob?
yes,
Rob?
yes,
David?
Yeah.
Ken?
Yes.
I don't know.
Alyssa?
Who's on the agenda?
Yes,
And
No,
Sandy said vote to close. So the hearing is closed. I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant -3.
I have a motion to
Second.
grant a -3. I have a second. All in favor, Rob,
aye,
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
yes.
Sandy, yes. It is approved and I think that's it. So I think you're just waiting for your building permits, correct?
Yes, yep.
That's
Well,
it.
Thank you very much. And I guess
Done one.
I guess I made Conservation Commission history here. That was the first hearing on the Zoom. I appreciate,
On-
I appreciate your getting this thing set up and going for us.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Hey, do I need to get something from you?
Yeah, we can talk about that tomorrow.
No problem. Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Yep.
Are we Christine Dupuy?
Yeah?
Yep.
Nope.
No, no,
Nick,
Jody Meyer.
Sorry.
Come on, give me again. Sorry about this. Does it have to be in order? Jody Meyer?
Yes.
Jody Meyer, okay. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protected Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020, at 6:30 PM on the request for determination of applicability for Jody A. Meyer, 28 Ames Island Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, to replace existing retaining wall, extend existing patio, and landscaping located on Assessor's Map 129A3, Lot 6, 28 Ames Island Road, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Is there anybody here for this hearing?
Yes,
Okay, and who you are?
Jody Meyer.
Okay. Mr. Bichette will read to the project.
Okay, so again, this project site is at 28 Ames Island Road. This is an after-the-fact filing for some work that's already started at the site that involves the construction of a patio, a concrete wall, and landscaping within the buffer zone to Agawam Mill Pond. The project involves the installation of a 16 by 27-foot paver patio, the reconstruction of a retaining wall, replacing stairs, and landscape activities in the buffer zone to the pond. The property is elevated above the pond. There was an existing stone retaining wall that's been replaced with a poured concrete wall. And there's a 16 by 27-foot patio that is about 62 feet from the pond that was also in the process of being installed. Other activities involve the replacing of existing stairs and landscape plantings. The work is primarily outside of the 30-foot no activity zone. The only thing that was within that was a black chain link fence that's been installed at this site that is somewhat close to the edge of the pond. As far as the patio and the wall work, I would recommend the approval of that activity with a negative determination number 3. That's it.
Thank you. Jody, is there something you'd like to add?
Nope.
I will ask the question, why was the work started before permitted?
Well, honestly, I didn't realize it was already an existing wall and the patio was an existing patio that I just changed when I bought the property. I really didn't know that if it was existing that you had to do that.
Okay. Now, questions from the board. Rob?
Where'd the fence come from? The one in the 30-foot.
With what fence? The chain link fence?
The chain link that was with the corner within the 30-foot no touch zone, is that new?
Yeah, there was a fence there when I purchased this property. Again, I just changed what was here. So I didn't realize that I couldn't do that.
Was the fence, did you happen to go closer? Oh, sorry.
No, actually,
Ask the question.
The fence is probably 6 inches away from the water than what they had it.
Is there any reason you can't move it a little more away or no?
I don't think I can because it's No.
Where is the fence on the plan?
I didn't
Well,
know.
that doesn't necessarily show up. It's closer towards where it's labeled Agawam Mill Pond. Can all of you see that plan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So could you repeat the question?
We'd like to know where the fence is on the drawing.
The fence is, like I said, kind of along that line closest or to where it says Agawam Mill Pond, because that's the actual pond edge. And the fence sort of runs pretty close to that.
Okay, so it's sort of like parallel with the first tier line, but closer to the line that has 60 feet on it?
Yes.
And which part is beyond, where's there a 30-foot no touch on this?
It's probably somewhere between the first and second tier, I would guess.
Mhm. So, excuse me, could you explain to me what 30-foot note, what that means?
Sure. Within the town's wetland bylaws, we have a requirement that no new activities be installed within 30 feet of a wetland resource area. So whether it's a wetland or a salt marsh or a coastal dune or a pond, you're not really allowed to put any new features within 30 feet. So that's the issue that we're just trying to find out about. So you're claiming there was some sort of fence there previously?
There was a fence there with gates and everything. All I did was replace what was there.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So if that's the case, then I would say that she's okay to put the fence there if there was one there already previously before the
All right.
standard that we had.
All right. I literally did not know any of that. So I don't know what to say. But I just copied exactly what they had. I actually brought it back a little bit away from the water than what they had.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else? David, any questions?
No.
Rob?
No more, thank you.
Ken, any question?
Nope.
Alyssa, anything else?
No.
I am concerned that the work was started before it was permitted, and I'd like someone to consider a $300 fine for working before permit was issued. But, okay, Jody, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, nope.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wants to comment on this project?
Are there any pictures of the previous fence?
Previous project.
Probably in the, let me look up the listing.
When did you buy it?
3 years ago.
Oh my God.
I don't have any pictures right this second. Hang on one sec. I will find them.
While you're looking, is there anybody else who wants to comment on this project?
Well, I
I'm
think you gotta kind of have
Hearing none, so we'll,
to do the fine.
You looking for a fine? 3?
That's what Sandy had
Yes.
said.
Yeah, because I don't have a copy of that.
Any work requiring Conservation Commission approval in wetlands or or in 30, 50-foot no work zone plus full restoration. But we're not doing more plantings. It was just the work got started before it was permitted.
Okay.
Let me look at another one.
Construction first or addition.
As the only
Any
encroachment
work
is,
requiring conservation, wait. Any work requiring conservation commission approval in flood zone or 100 foot of wetland or 200 foot of river that would have been permitted, plus the filing of a request for determination of applicability. I think it's the $300.
well, the thing is if you have, if that fence was just, that's the main issue, being in the 30 foot. And if that fence was existing,
Yeah.
it just replaced. I don't know. Does that have any bearing on it?
Still need to be
I
permitted,
think
wouldn't
the
it?
work was started. I think that's the,
Yeah, the work was started before the permit. I understand that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
okay, so I have nobody else speaking up to speak to this project. I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second,
I have a motion to close the hearing in a second. Rob,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Ken,
yes.
Lista,
Yes.
Sandy, yes, the hearing is closed.
Go ahead,
I need a
Alyssa.
motion.
Would this move to grant with the $300 fine be a complete motion?
-3.
Negative.
Add a -3. Okay.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Rob,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. 500. It is granted. And Jody, talk to Dave about getting paperwork, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Next person to
Thank
be
you.
up for public
Thank-
hearing. David.
Christine,
Christie.
Chrissy Dupuis.
Chrissy Dupuis.
Yep.
Dupuis?
Yep.
Yeah, got it. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protected Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland
Not on.
Protection Law.
No, it's her. She has her face and she's the one with the wrong job.
Are we okay? A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 6:30 PM on the request for determination of applicability for Christine Dupuis, 12 Deangelo Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, to raise existing garage and construct new garage located on Assessor's Map 57, Lot 92, 12 Deangelo Road, Wareham, Massachusetts.
thank you. Anybody here for this hearing? Raise your
Yeah.
hand. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Dave will speak to the project.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just click stop video.
Okay, so this project is at 12 D'Angelo Road, and the project involves the removal of an existing garage and the construction of a new garage within a coastal flood zone. The existing 19 by 22 foot garage is to be removed, and a new 19 by 42 foot garage is proposed within coastal flood zone AE elevation 15. The project is not in the buffer zone to any other resource areas. There's no significant grade changes proposed, so I would recommend the approval of the project with a negative determination number 2.
Thank you. Christine, is there anything you want to add to that comment?
The correctly stamped it was-
No.
I'm almost
My name's Christy though, not Christine.
Christy?
Yeah,
They wrote it incorrectly on your sheet.
everybody does it. It's all right.
Well, you can
Okay.
see my name's really difficult with this group.
I know. I've
How
only
many-
known,
How many
Mr.
years and I
Tom-
still haven't got it right?
I still have. All right, questions from the board? Rob,
Done.
David,
No,
Mike, is there anything you'd like to question?
Not so far, I'm good.
Okay, Ken,
Nope.
Miss Hurd,
No,
Sandy, I have no questions. Is there anybody in the view that would like to comment on this project? I'm hearing none.
Move to close.
second,
Second.
I have a motion to close. I have a second to close. Rob, in favor of closing?
Aye.
David,
aye.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
yes,
Sandy, the hearing is closed.
Move to grant with a -2.
Second.
I have a motion to grant -2. I have a second in favor. Rob,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
yes.
Sandy, yes. Granted 500. So Christy, speak to Mr. Bichette tomorrow,
Okay,
right?
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep, you're all set.
Thank you.
All right, have a good
All
night.
set.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks.
Who's next up?
Rento.
Next up is
Thomas.
Thomas Parento.
Okay. Pursuant to the provisions
9 over Jordan.
Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Protected
think you can.
Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held Wednesday, May 20th,
He's not on.
2020, at 6:30 PM on the request for determination of applicability for Thomas Parento, TJP Realty LLC, care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts. To
Yeah, I don't even have to be on this.
I know.
Probably should, I didn't realize it was gonna push
I
that.
have questions.
To construct a driveway, associated utilities and grading located on Assessor's Map 20 lots 1035D and 1035, 9 over Jordan Road, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Anybody here for this project?
Yes, I'm here, Brian Grady.
Thank you, Brian. Dave will read.
This project was submitted for the construction of an access driveway and a garage under a request for determination. Brian has since asked to withdraw this application because they're going to refile with a notice of intent. So that, I believe, and Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the way they've asked for this to go at this time.
That's correct. We're making a revision to the location, so we're withdrawing and we are filing a notice of intent for the new location.
The only thing I would add is that this is a site where we've also had a violation that's occurred. We had previously permitted a project on this lot for the construction of a new home. There was a limit of work line that was established. And since that point in time that we've issued the order of conditions, the applicant did clear vegetation both within the wetland itself and within the buffer zone to the wetland. It's a pretty sizable area. And so Sandy has seen this, and what I'm recommending is that the notice of intent not only address what they're proposing for new work, but also is going to have to propose some restoration of the damaged wetland and buffer zone area.
Brian, you're all right with that?
Well, we've already submitted the revised NOI. We have no problem addressing the violation, but I've already submitted the paperwork for the revised NOI. I can supplement that with additional information as it becomes available, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You might have to do a plan revision to reflect the planting scheme and whatnot. And certainly, you know, again, I'll recommend to the commission there should be a fine issued for this violation.
Hello?
Do we vote, David, do we do anything about the withdrawal? It just withdraw, we don't need to vote on it, do we?
Yes, you would want to vote to accept the withdrawal of the application.
Is there,
And issuing the, and to issue the fine at the same time.
Yes, if that's the board's wish.
Okay,
we-
we'll need a motion to,
How
A
about
motion.
discussion on the fine?
go ahead.
300.
Why, I mean, how long was it or did it or anything else? I mean, 300 is our max, correct? Per day?
Yes.
That's it.
Yep, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I,
I don't believe this qualifies for a per day.
no,
No,
but,
because we never gave them a deadline.
but it's a big area.
Doesn't matter, $300. They have to refine their fining system.
Who just talked?
Dina Yule.
Oh,
Yeah, it's $300. We never put a time, we never put a due date on it, so we can't fine them $300 per day after the due date since we don't have one. So it's a $300 fine, and I'll need a motion to vote to accept the withdrawal and a $300 fine. That would be our motion.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Okay, Rob,
Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. David, does that do it?
Yep, we're all set for that one. We can go on to the next hearing.
Which is
Jordan Realty Associates.
Jordan Realty Associates. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. The public hearing will be held Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Jordan Realty Associates, Inc., care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, for the construction of a concrete block retaining wall and site grading located on Assessor's Map 90, lots NC 2363 and NA and NB 2371, 2363 Cranberry Highway, and 2371 Cranberry Highway, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Who's here for this hearing?
Brian Grady, GAF Engineering.
Thank you. David, your turn.
Okay, so again, the site is at 2363 Cranberry Highway, and the project involves site work at a commercial property in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Tree clearing, grading work, and the construction of a concrete block wall is proposed approximately 50 feet from the edge of the wetland. The proposed work limit would be right at the edge of the 50-foot no activity zone. Hay bales and silt fence would be placed along the 50-foot no activity zone line. A portion of the site would have to be filled to achieve the grade that's desired. So in one area where it's the lowest point, there'd be approximately 6 feet of fill that would be needed. Then there would be a concrete block wall ranging in height from 3 to 10 feet along the back edge of this fill material, which is just along the work limit, basically. The area would then be stabilized in preparation for some future use. An access road is also proposed to access this area, but this is outside the buffer zone to the wetland. There are no other structures proposed at this time as part of this project. We did get a DEP file number for the project, so I would recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions and the added condition that only clean fill be used at the site.
Brian, anything to add?
No, nothing to add. This is just site preparation for yet undetermined future use.
Questions from the board? Rob,
None, thank you.
David,
Is this zoned for commercial use in this area?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, just curious. All right, thanks.
do you know where it is on Cranberry Highway?
Talk to me, Dave Hall?
Yes,
Yes.
okay. It's down by Cumberland Farms in West Wareham, right?
Yeah, by the mobile one oil change place there.
Right.
You got it. Okay, Mike, did you have any questions?
So far, I'm good.
Ken,
No.
Alyssa,
No.
Sandy, I have no questions. Is there anybody listening that wants to comment on this project?
Move to close.
I have a motion to close.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, Rob,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. The hearing is closed.
Move to grant with standard condition and a second condition that only clean fill be used.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a
Second.
second. Rob,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. It's order, standard order conditions with clean fill. It's been granted. So Brian, talk to Dave about paperwork that's needed.
Okay, very good.
Thank you very much.
Who's next?
The next one is Continental Marine.
Okey-doke. Notice of public hearing. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protected Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020, at 6:30 p.m. on the Notice of Intent, Continental Marina Corporation, care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts, for the removal of an existing underground fuel tank and distribution piping located on Assessor's Map 6, Lot 610, 6 to 10, 3236 Cranberry Highway, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Who is here for this project?
Brian Grady, GAF
Oh,
Engineering.
Mr. Bichette, just to confirm, is this where Al's is?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Bichette, please speak to the project.
So yeah, again, the site is 3236 Cranberry Highway, and the project involves the removal of an underground fuel storage tank and fuel lines in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and within a coastal flood zone. There's an existing tank that's approximately 8 by 16 feet in size. It's an underground fuel storage tank that's to be removed, and it's approximately 90 feet from the top of the coastal bank. The tank is within a paved parking lot at the site, so the whole area of work is within a paved area. So the pavement would have to be saw cut, the tank removed, and then backfilled and repaved. The tank is an abandoned tank, so it's not currently in use. The fuel lines from the tank to the dock at the edge of the water would also be removed as part of this project. Erosion control would be installed along the edge of the work area to contain materials during excavation. And they also have a provision to protect an existing catch basin that's on the site, which drains down into the stones on the coastal bank. So they also are going to put some barrier around that during the construction. We do have a DEP file number for the project, so I would recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions and the added condition to have that catch basin protection in place during the removal of structures. And also that the structures that are removed are disposed of in accordance with all applicable laws.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brian, anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
Or questions from the board? Rob, anything?
Any known like leaching of past fuel in the soil surrounding it?
I'm not aware of any past events. I don't know if Dave's aware of any.
I'm not aware of any past events either. Typically, when one of these things is removed, they're required to take soil samples at the time of removal. And then if they encounter any issues, then they have to go into a cleanup mode. So with these things, you never fully know until you actually start digging them out, unless there's a documented release, which I don't think there is, as Brian mentioned. So they'll follow the normal protocol. And if there is an issue, the fire department's on hand when these things are removed, and we would also be notified, and we'd have to potentially adjust our conditions if need be based on what they find.
Okay, thank you.
David?
No, no questions. That would have been my question, was about the fuel.
Okay, Mike, any questions?
I think I'm good. It just seemed a little too close to the water, though, not to be in a floodplain, no?
It is in a floodplain.
Oh, because I was looking at the map, and it seemed like it wasn't at first, or at least according to the, or at least according to the lines, it wasn't, but at least it was.
Yeah, if you notice on the plan that's on the screen, you can see the flood zone line where it says VE 21.
Okay,
So that's telling you that it's in that flood zone.
all right. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Ken,
So-
any questions?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine then.
Ken?
No,
Melissa?
No?
Sandy, I have no questions. Is there anybody listening that would like to comment on the project? Hearing none?
motion to close.
Thank you. I have a motion to close.
Second.
Second, I have a second. All in favor of closing the hearing, Rob?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes,
Melissa?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, the hearing is closed.
Move to grant.
second.
We need a little bit more behind that. We have the
Yeah,
standard order of conditions, plus the catch basin must be protected all during construction, and the fuel tank and lines be disposed of properly.
All right. So I would, I move to, how do we say this? my motion is to accept the plan to dispose of the fuel lines and tank just properly, to, let's see, come on, Cindy, give me a hint.
Protect the
Catch-
drainage.
Catch base
Catch basin
protected.
and drainage. My,
Yes.
and
And it's standard order, standard conditions.
standard
So
condition.
I have that. Oh, so we have a motion.
Second,
I heard a second. All in favor, Rob,
aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes,
Alyssa,
Yes,
Sandy, yes, 500. So Brian, work with Dave with your permits.
Very good, thank you.
noted.
Thank you.
Are we doing Sue Ann Murley next?
Yes.
You got it.
Okay. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws in Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw. Division 6, a public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 6:30 PM on the notice of intent for Sue Ann Murley, care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571. For the construction of a first floor addition, construction of a deck, in-ground pool, and a stockade fence located on Assessor's Map 3A-53, Lot 31-RN 10 Stone Avenue, Onset, Massachusetts.
Thank you. And who's here for this hearing?
That's Bob Rogers from GAF Engineering.
You get a chance, huh?
Excuse me?
It's your chance.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Dave, your turn.
Okay, so the project site is at 10 Stone Ave in Onset, and the project involves the construction of an addition, an in-ground pool, a deck expansion, some of which is on a coastal bank and some of which is within the 30-foot no activity zone to the coastal bank, within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and within a coastal flood zone. An 8 by 24-foot addition is proposed, and this is in an area that currently has a deck in that same location. Also proposed is a 16 by 20-foot in-ground pool with surrounding patio. And this is partially on the coastal bank and also within the 30-foot no activity zone to the coastal bank. A proposed deck adjacent to the pool is also within the 30-foot no activity zone to the coastal bank. Hay bales and silt fence are proposed around the proposed work. We do have a DEP file number. I would recommend that the proposed addition be approved, but that the proposed in-ground pool and deck that are in the 30-foot no activity zone or actually on the coastal bank itself be denied because they do not meet our standards.
Okay.
okay, I see it now.
So, Bob, anything?
Sure. So when we were planning this project with the owner, there was an understanding and an anticipation that we had bordering vegetated wetland nearby and that we would have a buffer zone. We would certainly need to file, and we anticipated the no activity zone to the BVW, but unfortunately, upon the closer examination of the topography and having that lower portion of the property within the 100-foot buffer zone, the AE14, it is a coastal bank, even though when you go out there, it's just a lawn. The entire property is either developed with buildings, landscaping, lawn areas. There's landscaping areas right up to the back property line. The owner and the Murley, Sue Ann, would very much like to have a pool of some sort. We tried to minimize it, on our own. We understand the commission's opinion regarding the no activity. You know, I think we would certainly still like, you know, we appreciate David's support for the first floor addition where that existing deck is. The proposed deck that's on the house side of the pool, you know, doesn't extend any further than those existing steps to the basement. But if there was a way that we could either further minimize the pool or perhaps go to an above ground pool, or additionally, if there was a component of the project that we could add, like further landscaping or something that would provide an environmental benefit. You know, they really looked at this prior to purchase as a backyard that they would like to have a deck and a pool in. You know, it's just so close on some of those grades where they're 1 and 8, 1 and 9. They're just slightly steeper than 10 to 1, and that's the way it is, and that's the definition of a coastal bank. We understand that, but it's just lawn that's being mowed now. So if there was any way that we could further minimize the pool or go above ground or provide some type of an environmental benefit, then we'd like to, you know, receive that input from the commission.
Okay, I'm going around and ask anybody have questions? Rob, you're up.
Yeah, considering the general consensus on this board with no touch 30 in the 30-foot zone, so my question is, why'd you bring it? It just seems silly. I don't have a question. I'm obviously against the swimming pool. I guess I gotta leave it at that for the moment and see what everybody else is doing.
I'm sorry, Alan interrupted me. Did you have anything else?
Not at this point. Again, I am certainly not in favor of work within the 30-foot zone.
Okay. David, your questions.
Yeah, I went and looked at the site today, and it is all lawn, but it is within the 30-foot zone, so I don't think it leaves us much choice at this point. The pool, anyway.
Michael, do you have any questions?
I'm with the board. Not here.
Sorry?
I agree. I agree with the board. No questions here.
Ken, any questions?
I've had this argument more times on this 30-foot and the wiggle room and everything else. All right. If the pool is put there, that's that much area that's not going to be fertilized lawn, but it's still within the 30-foot. I know I'm going to lose that argument, so I'm not going into that. I'm with the board. No pool.
Melissa?
What is the difference, David, about having an above ground pool that is, if you will, more flexible and so on, and maybe wouldn't have these stairs and the step and the deck and everything else that would go over things? What's the town say about the, above ground pools?
Well, relative to the bylaw, it doesn't make it doesn't distinguish between one or the other. It just simply says no new activities within that zone. So as far as I would see it, it would be viewed in the same manner.
So it would be viewed as if it were a permanent structure, the same as a permanent structure.
They're also subject to collapse
Yeah.
very frequently, and that would put the entire contents of the pool flowing downhill, which puts, chemicals in the.
Is there any space that one could put simply a lap pool in that's, got the water coming forward on this? I mean, I don't know how much room they take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure of that either. There is certainly some space on the lot that's outside the 30-foot. Whether
Yeah.
or not that would be suitable or the applicant would want such a thing is another story, but, you know,
I agree with everybody else on this. I just was looking for something which might give a little relief, but
Would the engineer, would they be willing to entertain a continuance and see if they can reposition that pool?
Well, we very much want approval for the first floor addition so that, you know, that could get started sooner rather than later. And yes, you know, we're willing to continue and work with Dave or you know, try and coordinate something that includes a pool.
But there really,
You know, but
there's
it's still
nothing.
just minimizing, you know, we can pull away from the actual limit of the coastal bank, but we certainly can't get outside of the 30-foot no activity zone, you know, with any pool.
Yeah, especially since that 30-foot no activity zone seems to be going through the house.
Well, sure. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a quarter-acre lot, and the home was built in 1930, and you know, they made a nice yard. The Sue Ann has improved it, trying to make further improvements, you know, to the value and the livability of the property. It's nice the way it is now. It would be nicer with a pool. And again, it's just one of those cases where it's been this way for a long time, and I think, you know, there's a little bit of more of an impact from the change in the flood zone. It probably was an AE 14 at one time, and now it's a 15. So it slid it a little closer to the house.
So the owner is willing to give up a deck in order to put an extension on the house. Is that what I'm reading?
Correct. Yeah, they'd like some additional first floor space as opposed to that
And they'll
small
lose,
section.
and the proposed deck is within the 30-foot no work zone,
Existing and proposed, sure.
but the extension of the house is over where there is a deck, so it's already been disturbed.
Correct. Yeah.
Now
I
that's
guess-
a pretty stiff slope down to the wetlands. And
yeah, if looking at the picture, the right side is shallower than the left side, but you know, you go anywhere from 4 to 1, 5 to 1 to, you know, 10 to 1 and flatter. And it was, you know, it took a little bit for me to delineate the bank to follow along where, you know, the grades transition from 1 and 10 to flatter.
well, I'm really impressed with how green the grass is. So I was wondering how much nitrogen fertilizer is being placed on this property, but that's another comment.
That's the only, you know, that's the only thing we could say about the environmental benefit of an impervious surface versus formal lawn. But
Because
we're
even
willing
if
to-
you were to even if you were to put above ground pool in that area, you would have to bring in a lot of fill to make it level.
Well, I think we would cut a little and fill a little, and we would make that work as best we could.
Okay.
You know, it would just be between elevation 13 and 15, so it's not a lot of work. This plan is it's a 1 inch and 10 feet, so it's smaller than it looks on the plan, the property.
Is there anything, Sue Ann, did you want to add anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, not very good at this Zoom thing. The only other thing that I could say is if we could get approval to extend that deck out a little bit towards the pool, what if we cantilevered it so we weren't actually digging and pouring footings?
That's still in land, that's still on the lawn that hasn't been disturbed.
In the
Bob?
past, we've encountered this before and basically considered the cantilevered over is the same thing as not. That's generally how we viewed that in the past.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
But, so we're more than happy to request a continuance so that we can, come back with something that we hope will get a positive vote at the next meeting.
Well, what would the board? Anybody else would like to comment on this project?
Well, there's not a lot of wiggle room there with this property. It's pretty small. And
Yes.
I don't think the pool is just a viable thing in that real tiny piece of land. I don't know.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
Yeah, but if why don't we just continue it and let them figure that out for themselves?
Okay. So I'll take a motion to continue until, when's our next meeting?
June 3rd.
So move.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor of continuing, Rob?
Aye. Continuing to June 3rd.
Yes. Rob?
You said aye. I'm sorry.
Sorry, didn't, David?
yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Alyssa?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, so we're continued until June
May
3rd.
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all. And thanks, Sue Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last one.
Next one.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protected Bylaw, Division 6. The public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Tina Deangelis, care of Lockwood Architects, finally. P.O. Box 95, Onset, Mass. 02558. For construction of a freestanding garage located on Assessor's Map 28, lots 47 and 48, 21 to 23, Bayberry Road, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Who's here for this project?
Lockwood.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, Dave, it's up to you.
All right. I'm just grabbing the plan up here. Okay, so again, the project is at 21 and 23 Bayberry Road, and the project involves the construction of a garage in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and within a coastal flood zone. A 14 by 28-foot garage is proposed, approximately 30 feet from the top of the coastal bank, which is a stone seawall at the site. The site is also within velocity flood zone, zone VE elevation 30. The location is currently flat manicured lawn area. There is no driveway proposed as part of this project to the garage, so it's just going to be lawn leading up to the garage, which from what I'm told is really just going to be used more for storage of items versus vehicles like cars. Erosion control would be installed between the work and the resource area as shown on the plan. There was a DEP file number issued for the project, so I would recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions and the added condition that no driveway be installed or is approved as part of this application since it was not proposed.
Thank you. Bill, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, we're good with that.
Okay, questions on the board? Rob?
None, but I find the porch interesting.
Yeah.
Why the porch?
I
Bill?
thought it would look nice.
I just think it's,
Is this a multi-story building?
There is storage above the garage, yes.
Yeah.
Attic storage.
Attic storage. Is there plumbing to this building?
There is not.
Okay, David, any questions?
No, the porch is interesting, but yeah, no questions right now.
Mike?
Not here, but I'm in agreement with the board. I found the porch kind of interesting along the 3-bedroom dwelling above a garage, but same here. I'm with agreement with the board. Go ahead.
Ken?
No, I'm good with it. The porch is probably, it's a good vantage point for them to sit there if it's a little screened area to sit there with some lawn chairs.
They have a whole lot of porch on the house too.
Yeah, okay, well,
It's
sometimes
very
they
And a
want
view
privacy.
right down the.
pretty area.
Unless any questions?
No,
Any idea what's going to be stored there?
Lawn chairs, bicycles, stuff like that.
And this is an AE 30?
VE 30.
VE 30. So what will happen when it floods with all that material?
It is tethered.
what is tethered? I'm sorry.
Tied to the foundation with stainless steel cable. We have breakaway walls which will drop in place and be tethered in place.
Well, I'm talking about the items stored inside once the walls break away.
They probably will be crushed by the structure falling on top of it if it comes to that.
All right, is there anybody else that would like to comment on this project?
So Dave, I just got a question. VE 30 means needs to be 30 feet above. That's flood zone, right? I mean, if you have to build anything, it would be 30 feet above that normally. I mean, is that what that means?
It would mean that if he was building a house that somebody was going to live in,
Right.
then yes, it would mean that. But for a garage, you're not required to build up to the flood elevation height.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
But I did have a question. I wasn't aware that this would have breakaway walls. Is that something that's required by the building inspector for a garage?
It's in the velocity zone, so the idea is to have the walls break and the structure stay for the most part.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
Sandy
like I
had,
said, I've seen the breakaways on homes where they have the pilings underneath and so forth, but not something like this, because this one, yeah, I mean, I guess it's similar to that because they're both at ground level either way. But I would be just sort of concerned that there's not a lot of hazardous material stored in there,
yeah.
I think they'd be willing to stipulate that we'll keep the gasoline and stuff out of there.
Yeah, other
Except
than
for
that,
lawnmowers.
The lawnmower will be there.
Yeah,
probably.
lawnmower will be there.
yeah, something like that is normal, but I'm just talking about a lot of spare gas cans full of gas and all kinds of other sort of materials that somebody might have, like cleaning agents and oil and stuff like that,
I haven't heard of any plans to store toxic chemicals there or quantities of chemicals either.
How would we word a condition, and could we?
Yes, I think that is a reasonable condition, and it can be included in the order, so that's fine.
Would you care to offer some sort of coherent wording to?
I would just state it as the added condition that no hazardous materials be stored in the garage, and just leave it at that,
How tall is this building?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How high is it? How high is the building? How tall?
About 20 feet, just under 20 feet.
2 stories.
So it's pretty high.
2 stories.
Yeah.
It's got an attic.
Exactly. It's got an attic, a stand-up attic.
Okay.
So there's
Anything
an
else?
There's an existing shed that's going to be removed, right? So that's a plus, right? That will be gone. That will help diminish the debris field from that, right? I mean,
That's correct.
positive
Yep,
thing. I
that's
mean,
correct.
and this will be built properly, right? To hopefully keep the debris from washing away when it does get hammered, I guess. So
Okay.
I guess that is a positive thing. So.
All right, if there's nothing else,
Move to close.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a second. Rob,
Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Sandy. Yes, the hearing is closed.
Move to grant with standard conditions and added conditions of no driveway to follow and no hazardous materials stored in the building.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Rob,
Yes. Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Sandy. Yes, 500. Done. So
Thank you
Bill,
all.
you'll save for paperwork. We have 2 continued hearings. Kenneth Deleuze. Anybody here for this hearing?
Brian Grady, GAF Engineering. I'm back.
Okay. David, you're up.
All righty. Just get this here so we can take a look.
Why did we continue it?
We continued it for a couple of reasons. We were trying to get a reduction from the setback to the coastal bank. And I think there was one other thing. What was that, Brian? There was one other issue that we.
Yeah, we were waiting for zoning determination from the commissioner, which we have received.
Okay.
Do we have a new plan with a setback?
So this is the latest plan as far as I'm aware of, and Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this.
No, that's correct. The first plan that you had, we had the proposed dwelling setback 60 feet from the street line, which is the zoning setback requirement for the area. Initial conversations with Dave had some concern with that because it does push it further back on the lot, closer to the resource area, buffer zone, coastal bank. So I had a conversation with the building commissioner. We revised the plan. We submitted it online through the online application process. It took a little bit to get through with the issues we're going, but he has approved the reduced setback as shown on this plan. It doesn't meet zoning for the area, but it has been approved through the commissioner.
Okay. Dave, you're up.
Sure. So you can see in the view, this is the existing conditions or what it currently looks like. So there's an existing dwelling there. And then the new proposed look would be this. So again, the site is at 104 Great Neck Road, and the project involves the demolition of the existing dwelling and the reconstruction of a new dwelling and garage on a coastal bank and in the buffer zone to BVW. So initially, again, the house was a little closer than what's shown here. Now they've revised the plan to pull that back. The new dwelling would be 38 by 56 feet. So that's dwelling and garage. So I do still have a bit of an issue with the fact that you still have some features in here that probably don't need to be within 30 foot. So there's a deck that's in there. There's a retaining wall that, I'm not 100% sure what that's for. Brian can probably explain that. And the commission, again, is not really obligated to grant a garage. The person can request a garage, but the commission's not obligated to grant a garage. There was a house there, so we kind of have to allow another house to be constructed, and it has to be in conformance with, the building code and have a Title V system and all that. So this is where we're at with this one. We have a project that's proposed that does propose some additional work within the 30-foot no activity zone to the coastal bank, which, you can see that line sort of cuts right through the house and garage. So, again, I would say that I think there's room to reduce the work in the 30-foot. But, obviously, ultimately, we do have to approve the construction of a new home there. It's just a matter of the size and the additional features that the commission feels comfortable with.
Well, I guess my response to that would be is we've got a couple of competing interests here. We've got zoning through the building department, zoning setback requirements from the street line, which push us back on the lot. And then we've got conservation issues, coastal bank, 30-foot no disturb zones, which push us to the street. So we're just trying to find a middle ground between those two with the situation that we're given. The home is a small conventional dwelling. Garages are a conventional feature. The retaining wall, what that's for, Dave, is we're in the flood zone, so structures can't have a basement. So this will be a walkout. So to minimize fill in the back, which we can't have anyway, we can't have a basement, we're proposing the retaining wall. So what that does is it minimizes the fill, and it gives us a dwelling in construction with flood zone requirements in that it doesn't have a basement, which is meaning a basement below grade. It's a basement, but it's a walkout basement. You can't have below grade basements in the flood zone. So we're just trying to work with the competing interests and find the middle ground that's acceptable.
Right. No, I understand that regarding the house, but again, from the commission's viewpoint, the garage is a sort of a luxury feature. It's not required. And the walkout basement, that's essentially getting yourself a basement by putting that additional material and wall in the 30-foot no activity. So,
well, let me ask you this. If this were a pre-existing lot, which it is, and there was no structure, it was vacant, it was never built on, and we approached you to construct a dwelling on it, we would have to set the structure in compliance with zoning setbacks because it would be new construction. So how would the commission view it at that time? I know it's hypothetical, but
well, I would say in that hypothetical situation, we deny the project because it wouldn't meet the town's bylaw.
Yeah, I understand that. So you have a pre-existing non-conforming lot and you're making it unbuildable.
Well, yeah.
the only point I'm trying to make is we get a little bit of a benefit and we have this existing dwelling here, which gives us some relief from zoning. So yes, we have the right to rebuild, reconstruct, but the home's 100 years old. Today's conventions are a little bit different as far as sizes of dwellings and features. And I don't think anything we're showing here is extraordinary or out of the ordinary as far as the size of the house or the deck or the features that are shown. It's its relation to wetland resource areas and your 30-foot zone. But again, I just come back to we have competing interests on this. So yeah, I'm just trying to work and find that middle ground.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's why I'm saying, as far as the house goes, I realize that you may not be able to get it outside the 30, and, you know, that's fine for the house. I'm just pointing out to the commission's attention that there are certain other things that are proposed that didn't exist previously, and now they're being proposed. So my task is to point these issues out to the commission so they're aware of what we're looking at here.
Okay, I'm going around for questions. Rob, I'll start with you.
Okay, we'll start with the garage. Is there, given your previous scenario, we would deny the garage positioned where it is. We would prefer to, well, we would make it not be in the 30-foot zone. So looking at the drawing, you could certainly, zoning not required, notwithstanding, pull a garage, just the garage forward. So the garage is not within the 30 and you'd still have an inch, you know, some room for an entryway connecting to the house. I don't know the floor plan of the house, but again, that doesn't concern us. So that would be my first question is, can that garage move forward? It could, you know, I think it would be an easier fight for you in zoning to move the garage forward than in conservation to leave it in the 30-foot. Again, referencing at least the time I've been on the board, decks put in the 30-foot zone have traditionally with us, in my time anyway, been denied. So that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Okay. David.
Yeah, I was kind of agreeing with Rob a little bit that maybe we could push the garage a little farther forward and get it out of the 30-foot, and then if that's possible, that would be an ideal situation. That's
Brian, is that possible?
I would have to check with the building commissioner. We'd have to move it quite a bit forward, more than half the width of the garage. So that would further impinge into the zoning setback requirement. I guess what I would do if that were to become the available option is I would slide everything, let's say, to the south. I would take that whole footprint of the house in the garage and slide it to the south. So that would get it outside the 30-foot. So we'd only be within the 100-foot buffer.
Then change the position of the septic system.
Yeah, I'd have to see what that does with the septic and the grading, you know, but that gets the garage outside of the 30-foot zone. It doesn't push it further towards the street, further impacting the already reduced zoning setback. So that's an alternative I would explore as well. But, you know, so we get outside the 30, but we're into the 100-foot and we're at a lower elevation ground-wise. So, you know, that's just one of the things trying to avoid since we're in the flood zone. That would require some additional fill.
How about switching the garage to the other side of the house?
That's what I was thinking.
It's still, that's an option as well. It's still in the 30-foot buffer. Not as much clearly, but that's an available option as well.
Again,
Is
you
there
could-
the ability to do a drive under garage under the house? You're creating a situation of an elevated sort of structure so you can get a walkout basement. What about having a drive under garage under the house, and that way that would solve that issue or be another alternative?
That's an alternative to explore. Everything's on the table. Obviously, I see your concerns with the garage as it is, so we would have to explore that as an option as well. It's not a really steeply sloped site, and there's not a lot of grade difference to accomplish that. So I would have to investigate that. That might involve raising the top of foundation significantly higher than it is. So I'd have to check that out.
Okay. David, did you have anything else?
No.
Mike, any question?
I think I'm fine on this one for now. I'm in agreement with the board here. If you could possibly move that garage closer to Great Neck Road, see if there's either a way for the tenant to walk in, or possibly move the garage to the other side of the road. I think I know where that property is. So yeah, if there's any way you could possibly move it closer to the road but still be within zoning, that would be wonderful. Go ahead.
Hey, Ken, any questions?
I think you should just let them go back and study it.
Okay. Alyssa?
Agreed.
Sandy, agreed. Anybody else on the view to comment on this project? Then I'll someone needs to make a motion to continue until, well, Brian, do you think you could have something in 2 weeks?
I will do my best.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion to continue it until June 3rd.
Second.
I did hear the motion. I have a second in favor. Rob,
Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes, we're continued until the 3rd. Thank you. We
All
have
right,
one
thank
more
you.
continued here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more continued hearing. That's Edward and Susan Cabral. Is there anybody here for this?
The engineer wasn't really prepared for the meeting tonight to attend this meeting, so they've asked for a continuance on this one to the
So
next
moved.
meeting.
Second.
The continued until 6:03. I heard the motion. I heard the second. All in favor, Rob,
Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes, we're continued until the 3rd. I'm just making notes. All right, now we're down to certification compliance.
Yes, let's see. The first one is for John Spinelli, which is at 9 Oak Hill Road. And this project involved the demolition of an existing dwelling and then reconstruction of a new dwelling. And the project has been completed according to the order, so I would recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for that project.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, I heard motion second. All in favor, Rob,
Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. Next, please.
The next one is for Richard Smith at 39 Priscilla Ave. I'm gonna request that we not address this one. I did the site visit and there were some issues there. There was additional work done that was not permitted. So I'm gonna have to speak to the engineer about that, but at this point, I'm not recommending the certificate of compliance. I would say if members have a shot to take a ride out there, it might be worth doing. There was, if you recall this project, this goes back a little ways, not too far, but this was one that Brad from JC Engineering had before us. It was a tear down of a home and reconstruction of a new one. And they wanted to build a large deck and a sunroom, and we kind of whittled it down to a certain degree. And we ultimately ended up with a deck with a sunroom on it, and then with a sort of a patio underneath the approved deck space. The patio they ended up building under the deck goes beyond the deck in a couple of directions. So that was larger than what we had approved. They also paved more area for the driveway than what was shown in the plan. And they also put in this stone riprap drainage trench that looks like something you might see on a highway, that drains water from the paved area towards the pond. So there's just a few items that are not in compliance as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to just say let's hold off on that one at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Next one.
The next one, Mark Patrick, 97 Edgewater Drive. This was an old filing that involved the construction of an addition on an existing house at this location. The project has been completed, and they just want to sort of clean up the old paperwork. So I'd recommend the issuance of that certificate of compliance.
So moved.
I have a motion. I heard a second. All in favor? Rob,
Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. Anything else? Dave, Michette, are we done?
No, we've got a couple quick things. One, in terms of next meeting date. So our next meeting date is June 3rd. And we had talked about this idea at one of our sort of trial Concom meetings of having meetings possibly every week instead of every 2 weeks, just for a time to catch up with all the items that we have backlogged. So I wanted to find out from board members if you would be okay with that. Because if that's the case, we could keep the number of hearings to a reasonable number. Because right now, I think we have probably another close to 15 hearings that are ready to go, that are already submitted. So obviously I don't want to have 15 hearings at the next meeting. So what I'd like to do is sort of split that up and put a certain number on the next meeting, kind of similar to what we had today, and then push the next one's off to a week after that. We also have, several enforcement cases that need to come on an agenda, and those obviously take a little bit of discussion time. So between the hearings and the enforcement issues, I just wanted to get your thoughts on, since we can do these from home and nobody has to come into to a building, to me, it's a little bit easier to do that. So what do you guys think of that idea?
So you're talking June 3rd is our next meeting, and then June 7th?
And then June 10th would be the following Wednesday after that.
I'm good with that.
I'm tired.
I got no problem. Just let me know.
I'm fine.
Would it be advantageous to move the enforcement ones to their own night? Just do enforcement on one night?
Well, that was another idea I was thinking of, and we certainly can do that. So that's, as long as the board's okay with that, that's no problem. And since there's no, per se hearings associated with that, we don't need to advertise any public hearings. We just have to post it as a meeting. So yeah, we could certainly schedule some things for any night we wanted to, really, as long as it's posted.
Between somewhere and.
What's next week?
If this is easy. This worked out well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did. Better than I thought it was gonna.
Yeah, I got on.
Well, honestly, next week on Wednesday, we can do the enforcements next week.
Yeah, do it next week.
Well, the only
Keep in
problem
mind,
The only
Monday's a
problem is,
holiday.
yeah, Monday's a holiday, and we have to give people some lead time in terms of, giving them the heads up that they are going to be required to attend a meeting. So it might be a little tight to push it for this coming Wednesday, given,
All right.
what's left of the week and that we have a holiday on Monday and so on. Because I don't
All
want
right.
to do a meeting and then half of them don't show up because they said they can't make it or whatever.
Well, schedule the 3rd, and whatever you put on there, we deal with. That's all.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we don't need to limit ourselves to Wednesdays. Since we're doing these Zoom meetings, you could have a meeting Wednesday, you could have another one Thursday if you wanted to. It's so next meeting is June 3rd. We could schedule some things to be discussed on June 4th if everybody wanted to do enforcements on June 4th. So,
Sorry, sewer commissioners meeting.
Yeah, Thursdays are hard for me because PUCOM, I never know whether
okay.
they,
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out as a date. Even the following Monday, which would be, I don't know what that is, but whatever that is, we could schedule a meeting for enforcement stuff that following Monday, possibly.
any night of the week
don't-
but Thursday. For me,
I don't yet
any
have
night
it
of the week but
scheduled, but-
Thursday's fine.
What?
Same here.
Wait,
sorry.
I'm going to ask you one at a time.
All right, go ahead.
Rob, what's a good time for you?
I don't yet have it scheduled, but as of today, we now have one of the kids heading for Oregon, and we're probably doing the move with them, bringing us.
Move to Oregon now?
So we may be gone a couple of weeks at some point. I will let Dave know as soon as I know.
Okay. David,
I'm good most days. I'm not a busy guy.
Mike,
Not a busy guy either. Just as what was previously mentioned, any day of the week, but Thursday works for me.
okay. Ken, I hear you don't, Thursday's not good and Thursday's not good for me because of sewer commissioners.
Yeah,
Alyssa,
that's
Well, let me look at my schedule.
oh, busy.
Oh, my. I think I might be available any day that you mentioned, but we'll see.
Well, David, I guess it's up to you.
yeah. Just
Yeah,
call me.
what
Let
I'll-
me know.
What I'll do is I'll look to see if we can put something together for that following Monday. So the 3rd is a Wednesday, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So probably the 8th we're talking about for a potential meeting to do enforcement type issues. So that might work out well.
Okay.
And the
Because
only other
right
thing-
now,
go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I normally have meetings every Monday, but I don't right now. So whoever gets on my plate first gets me on the 8th.
Okay.
David, might as well do it now.
Yeah. And the last thing is in terms of signatures for this particular meeting and future meetings, we should get a vote from the commission to say you're going to look at or allow electronic signatures or having the agent sign documents. Then we can have options available. We don't have to always do these things or any particular one. We can come to a sense of which one everybody feels comfortable with. But at least if we vote to do these things, it gives us more options. So
Well, if we have you sign, it doesn't matter because we're going to approve it at the meeting, so we're going to know. I've got no problem with that. It's up to you, but either way, it doesn't matter. But I mean, if we're going to if we allow you to sign and we attend the meeting, then that's the signatures. They have to be on it. That's all.
right.
big
So whatever each member is comfortable with is fine. I think each member would have to give their consent, and then the board as a whole would have to vote on such things. And as far as this meeting here, maybe depending on who's going to be around tomorrow and or Monday, I'd like to try to catch up to
Monday's a holiday.
Tuesday, either tomorrow or Tuesday. That way, if I can catch up to the folks that were at this meeting, I can get their signatures on all these documents and we can kind of take care of and have actual real signatures for this meeting and then decide going forward how we're going to do the rest of them.
Well, I'm basically around all day tomorrow, so, you know, except, let me see, my meeting's at 5:30, but before that, I'm around. I'm either here or at the cemetery, so I can swing over and catch you outside or whatever, just call me.
Yeah, I'll have to meet people outside in the parking lot, or if somebody has an issue, I can certainly travel to someone's location and get signatures that way too. So that's
Dave, what time are you in tomorrow morning?
8:30.
I'm
8:30
doing
to what,
Meals
noon?
on Wheels.
How long are you
I'm
there?
packing lunches for Meals on Wheels, so I could be there. I'll call you and we can come out to the parking lot about 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good.
I'll do that.
So 9 o'clock tomorrow?
Sure.
I can't do 9 tomorrow, so.
That's
Well,
okay. I can
you're
meet
fine.
people separately. Everybody doesn't have to meet together. I
Okay.
can meet, different times or different locations. So Lisa, whatever's good for you, just let me know. We'll set
Right.
something up.
How late, how long are you there, till noon?
I'll be
You're
there
there all
till
day.
probably about 1:30 tomorrow.
Okay. I'll catch you before then.
But you meet us in the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just answer your phone. You want me to call you on the office phone or the cell?
Start with the office phone, and then if I don't pick up, it must be because I'm out, and you can try the other one.
All right. Yeah, no problem. I'll
I
be
can
around.
there at 9 in the morning.
9 in the
Okay.
morning, all right.
Well, I don't know about 9, but I'll be there.
9
Sometime.
o'clock.
Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't have to be at 9.
I
gonna
am
have to-
retired. I do kind of take it easy a little
Okay.
bit.
Did you want to talk about the weed treatment at Agawam Mill Pond?
Mm.
Yes, I saw
Well,
that.
I sent that to you because I just wanted you guys to be aware of what their schedule is and where they're at with that. So they do still have a valid order to do the work of that application, and they
Okay,
just wanted to send that information in terms of their timing and so forth. And we also did get some comments, as I think you saw, from Division of Marine Fisheries, who stated they were okay with what was being proposed.
It's been successful for 2 years straight now anyway, right?
Yeah, it has. And so there's really no action the commission needs to take. It was just more or less to give you a heads up that they would be going back to that, their maintenance activity for that work.
okay, thank you. Does anybody have anything else? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
All in favor, Rob,
Aye.
David,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Sandy. Yes, we're adjourned at 8:22.